Deficits are a bad thing, right? But are trade deficits a bad thing? It's a little more complicated than you think. Jedediah Collins here with the Money Vehicle Movement podcast, where we're trying to make financial literacy more current and possibly even a little cooler. As you've been paying attention recently, you've heard a lot about trade deficits. Trade deficits are, in fact, one of the main reasons that President Trump is putting tariffs on different countries and taking other measures. He sees the trade deficits that the United States has with other countries as a negative, a bad exchange right now, a sign that the United States is losing or somehow being taken advantage of in this trade exchange. But what is a trade deficit exactly? In short, it simply means that one country is buying more from another country than that country is buying from it. A little more complicated. Put it another way, the U.S. buys more goods and imports from Vietnam than Vietnam buys from the United States. As such, the United States has a trade deficit with Vietnam. We are giving more than we are getting. Is that a bad thing? Not always and not necessarily. There are many things that are produced in Vietnam, again, for example, that American consumers want, such as relatively cheap clothing and other consumer goods. We don't produce much of that stuff here in the United States today, although we do produce some of it, just not at the same price. As such, we buy more from Vietnam than they buy from us. As we look at this, the big question is then, is a trade deficit a bad thing? Does it hurt our economy? Should we try to balance that out with each and every country being equal? What we're buying from you, you now have to buy back from us. As you may have guessed, it's complicated and it's going to go country to country, specific to specific, and exactly what resources each group is looking for. And there's not going to be a clear answer. In many cases, such as the trade balance we have with Vietnam, it wouldn't make much sense to try and balance out the trade deficit or create a trade surplus, meaning that Vietnam is buying more from us than we are from them, because Vietnam is a much smaller and much less wealthy country than the United States. If we had a trade surplus with Vietnam, it would probably be a sign of a bigger issue for both countries. Accordingly, it may not be a good idea to think of a trade deficit as a form of losing, quote unquote. There really isn't anything being lost, and the dynamic is likely beneficial to American consumers because we're getting more products from overseas. But it may be a different case with a larger countries such as China, India, France. There are also other things at play. Consumer spending is only part of what comprises a trade deficit. The government also spends money adding into that deficit, and exchange rates are always in the mix too. How much is the dollar compared to the euro compared to the yen? Again, it's complicated. So, as you're hearing discussions about trade deficits, try to keep all of this in mind. We've discussed how there can be good and bad debt based on how you use it, when you use it, and why you use it. The same dynamic may be true in the case of trade deficits. It may sound nefarious, but in many cases, a trade deficit doesn't actually mean a negative or a positive. It just means the exchange between the two countries. Now, as we circle back and connect into that idea of tariffs, we are trying to force companies to create more things here domestically so they would not need to go across the country or across the sea to purchase more items. Those tariffs are, in essence, economically meant to reduce some of this trade deficit. But the remaining question is, how is all of this going to play out? And for that, we will have to simply sit and watch as things unfold week to week and day by day. For you, keep driving your money vehicle, keep investing in yourself, and we will see you at the next stop.